Hi there. Today I'm doing a layout of this lovely sweet picture of my daughter cuddling her little daughter when we went to had a weekend away a couple of months ago. And I'm using this collection. It's a really old collection from 2012 by My Mind's Eye called Miss Caroline. It's really beautiful papers, and I've just had it in my stash for ages. I don't know, for one of the first collections I think I ever bought. And as you can see, I've used bits of it, but there's an awful lot of it left. So I'm just going through the papers, trying to find some that will trying to find a backing paper, and others that will go well on the page. In the end, I don't use this collection for the backing sheet. This one at the bottom is the one I actually use for my backing paper, but it's not from the collection, but it coordinates so well you'd never know it wasn't part of it. So I'm just having a quick flick through, and this red paper with the dots also is not from the collection, but I really had to use it. I think I'd put it with the collection at another time, because the colours, it just picked out all the reds in the papers, and I thought it really went well. And because Alyssa's got little red tights on, I think the red works very well with the photos as well. So that kind of worked as a first page to go with it, and then all the other papers coordinate quite well. So it's not really red in this stripy paper, but it's a kind of lighter corally colour, which goes very well, and there's some red in these flowers. So I started off by fussy cutting some of the flowers on this beautiful floral paper. I just cut out a few of those, which I'm going to use as embellishments. So there we are, they're all cut out, ready to be added to the page. But I also wanted to use some of the paper as it was. So I'm just tearing it down one side, because as the red paper, I didn't really want to mess back with it. I liked it as it was, and it had that torn edge. So I thought I'd do the other papers in a similar way with a torn edge. So that's what I've done with this one. It's quite a jaggedy tear. I'm not very good at tearing, but I thought, well, I'll just leave it as it is. And I've done the same, or I will do the same in a moment with the horizontal striped paper. Also going to just tear it down the side, and again I end up with quite a jaggedy edge, but it all works quite well. I quite like it. It gives it that sort of soft look and quite a natural look, and these papers are really, the colours are very soft and natural, so I thought it worked quite well. I was quite happy with that, and quite a bit of some of the edges will be covered up anyway. And then I popped in a doily, and this is how I'm going to put the pictures on the page. And I just wanted to back that black and white photo at the bottom there. So I've just found this small, as an offcut of a tealy coloured paper that was in the kit or in the collection. And I thought that worked quite well, because there's some teals in the other papers. And Alyssa's jacket is sort of got a bluey look to it. So I thought that went fine. And I'm just distressing the edge of this backing paper. See, I've used it for something so it's got a great hole in it, but you'd never know. Once you stick the photo on, you don't know that there's a hole in the middle of the backing paper. And I'm just trying to arrange how I want them to go on the page, and that's pretty much how they're going to end up. So I'm just starting to stick things down now, just sticking this photo onto its backing paper, which has just got that little ruffledy edge, because it just all goes in with all the torn edges. I think the whole thing ends up with quite a soft look to it. And I'm just going to start by sticking down this red one, but I'm going to stick each of the papers to each other before I stick them to the backing paper. So they're all stuck to each other and now stuck to the backing paper. And that doily just goes behind the main photo. So I'm not going to do a lot of layering with the photos, because there's quite a lot of layering in the background. But I'm going to use this piece of it's a napkin. I've used it on a number of occasions for other things. But again, it's got that sort of soft bluey colour, and again, it blends itself well to being torn and having a sort of softness to it. I really love these napkins. I'm used them quite a bit for different things. That's not so easy to cut it that way. It tears down vertically quite well, but it got a little bit jagged going across the top. But so is everything else, so it wasn't a problem. And I'm just going to put that behind my photo just to soften it all up. And now I'm going to stick it all down. I think to stick to the paper napkin, I'm going to use double-sided tape rather than the glue pen, because I thought it would less likely to tear with the tape. And I'm sticking that down. And again with the tape I'm going to use for the to stick the doily onto the background. I really love it. I mean, I've had this collection for so long, and I'd forgotten I had it, and then I just came across it, and I thought, well, that will work perfectly with these photos, and it's so pretty. The colours are so gorgeous. So I'm just tucking the fussy cut flowers around the corners of the photo, of the main photo there. Some in the top left corner, and there'll be some in the bottom right corner. Once I decided on this collection, I think it all came together quite quickly, because everything goes together so well, and it was so pretty, and it just went beautifully with the photos. I just really love how this turns out, and it wasn't a complicated, difficult one to do. I didn't have to do much thinking, just a bit of fussy cutting and a bit of tearing, and there we were. I'll just stick this one on. There we are. So I've kept them both at the same angle. I was going to do the bottom one at a different angle, and then I decided it looked better just replicating the same angle as the main photo. And I'm just going to put this nice cluster of, trying not to cover up the little red tights that Alyssa's wearing, because that's the colour that I've kind of picked out to match all the papers to. So I didn't want the little tights to be covered up. And I'm just doing a little bit of washi tape in those spaces where the paper has been torn and it's quite a deep tear. I picked out some washi tape. It's actually a Simple Stories washi tape, but I thought the colours went really well with the colours in the collection, so I just thought I'd just pop that little bit of tape behind there. No reason why, I just thought it worked. There's a little extra layer, a little extra pop of colour. And then I'm just there's a few edges that have not quite stuck down, and now that I've got the washi tape tucked under, and I don't think I'm going to be tucking anything else underneath, I'm just catching those edges down, making sure it's all stuck down with my Scotch tacky glue. So now I'm going to use this little pack of rub-ons. Now I've had these rub-ons as long as I've had the collection, so I've had it at least 5, maybe even 6 years, and I know that a lot of people say rub-ons are not always easy to use once they get a bit old, but amazingly these came away beautifully. They rubbed beautifully. The flowers were perfectly intact. As you can see, when I tear away the paper, I didn't know what I was going to get, whether it was going to be patchy or not adhere at all, because I've had that problem with other rub-ons. But these, my mind's eye rub-ons, were absolutely beautiful and really came away perfectly. Look at that. I was amazed. I thought that's brilliant, because I'm not really one. I don't use rub-ons very often, so I do have quite a few that I'm almost afraid to use now in case they come out rubbish. But I thought, well, I'll just give these a go and see how they turn out, and I was very pleasantly surprised. So I thought, well, I've used that little cluster of flowers, so I'm going to use the other one now. I might as well use them before. I say use them before I lose them. They've lasted this long. They'll probably last a bit longer, but I thought these flowers worked really well on here, and it rather there was a wood grain paper that had floral spray on it, and that sort of replicates that idea a bit. I think that's where I got the idea of doing this. Very similar flowers on that wood grain, and I'm never going to use the wood grain because I don't like it. But I thought I would pinch the idea of the flowers on the wood grain on this page. If you flick back to the beginning, when I go through the papers, you might briefly see the wood grain flash through, but I certainly wasn't going to use it. And then I also have this pack of, they're like layered stickers, so they're self-adhesive. They're really pretty. I think I may have only ever used one of them, if that. So I thought, well, a couple of these need to go on the page as well. So I've got that circular one there that's got a scalloped edge. That's really pretty and brings the colours all together. And then there's this little tab, and it just says sweet. And again, the colours worked really well. So I thought that they were really nice and go very well with everything else. I had a look to see if there's anything else I could use, but I didn't think anything else would work. And I've got another bit of I didn't like that gap between the flowers and the photo, so I just cut out another little spray of flowers and popped them in there. Now on my desk for some weeks now, I've had this title that I knew I was going to use for something, and this seemed like a good layout for it. I cut it on my silhouette weeks and weeks ago when I cut something else out. Because it's just a load of letters, and I just could not remember what it said. I knew it had something to do with cuddling. So I'm just laying out all the letters here, trying to figure out what it says. And in the end, I had to go into my silhouette design, into my silhouette design on my laptop, and work out what I'd actually cut out. And it turned out to be Everyday I'm Cuddlin, which seemed, I knew it was going to be an appropriate title for some layout, because that's what, Jenny's always cuddling her little girl, or somebody's always cuddling her. And then I just had to find somewhere for it to fit, because the letters are quite big. But I really like them. I really like them. I think the letters, the font works really well with this particular collection. I don't know why, it just worked really well for me. So that's where I'm going to put them at the bottom there. I had to kind of fiddle around quite a lot to find a space for that they would all go. And then I'm using my Xyron sticker maker. I'm just feeding them into the little hole at the top, and then pulling the sticker part out through the bottom. I don't know if you've ever seen one of these, but I haven't seen anybody using one on YouTube before, but I'm sure loads of people have got them, and it's brilliant. And it just gives a sticky backing to all the letters. And I find for fonts, for ready cut titles, if they're not ready already, if I'm not using stickers, this is a brilliant way to make them sticky without being messy, because it's not, it's just creates a sticky back to them. Just give it a rub all over to make sure that the glue is properly stuck to the back of the letters. And then I just have to peel off the front piece, and then they're just stuck to that backing paper, and then I can just peel off the letters and stick them on, and it works brilliantly. I haven't actually used it for ages, because I don't very often cut out my own titles. I usually use thickers or something that's ready-made. But I really like this title. I just forgot to stick the I for the dot. Forgot to put that through the sticker maker, so I just had to put a bit of glue on that. The dot for the I, should I say, not the I for the dot. Dot for the I, I had to stick on separately. So that's all stuck down. And now I wanted to do some journaling, so I thought I've got this box with a load of little journaling pads and journaling cards and bits and pieces. Excuse me. So I'm just going through trying to find one that I think works, and I think this is from Simple Stories, probably a cut apart sheet that I found this one, and the colours work really well. So I'm just trimming it down so that I can tuck it in behind that photo there, and it says at the bottom, you can never have too much happy, and the colours all coordinate perfectly with this collection, which was really, really nice. And then, but the little tab that was part of the card, it was in the wrong place. So I've cut it off, and then I'm going to stick it back onto the card and where I want it, because I still like it, but I didn't want it where it was on the right hand side, and it didn't work. So I've decided to put it at the top in the end. I tried it at the side, that didn't look right. So I put it at the top, and a bit more of that washi, the matching washi, to go behind it. And I'm just going to stick the tab back onto the top of the. And then I did something really stupid, which as soon as I'd done it, I realised I'd made a mistake, but I left it in. I put the date on it, the date that the photos were taken. You see, I stamped it there, and of course, as soon as I tuck it in behind the photo, you lose half the date. So I had to start again. I had to trim it all down, which you'd see me do in a moment. Oh, you stupid woman! Why didn't you think about that? So I had to cut that top part off. So get rid of the and reattach the washi again, and reattach the little tab again, which left me less space for journaling, but I managed to squish it in, and then I put the date on afterwards to make sure it's in the right place. So I'm just going to do my journaling, make sure it fits, and I'm just saying that we were in Southwold, which is in Suffolk, and we had a little stop to admire the sea view. And I took a picture of Jenny cuddling her little one while we were there. And it's all part of, I've got several pictures about from this trip, so it'll be obvious what it's part of. So I didn't have to say too much. And then I've just stapled on the tab at the top just to make sure it stays in place. Added the date afterwards to make sure it fitted. And then I'm just popping it in behind the photo. There we are. So now my last thing is I wanted to add a few enamel dots, and I didn't have any that went with this collection, but I've got, as you can see, a whole stack of different packs of enamel dots. So I was just picking out colours that I thought went quite well with the colours in the layout. So just going through different ones and picking out coordinating colours and then popping them around the page. Just a few little ones by on the left there by those flowers. So picking out mints and yellows, a little bit of coral and orange. So they all coordinate quite nicely. There we go, all done. So thank you for joining me, and do join me again soon. I really enjoyed doing this dive into my stash. Bye for now.